Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is Lipedema Wellness Conversations with Gail, that would be me, and friends. And this morning, my lovely friend is Julie Stewart. We call her our community muse. She writes a lot of our articles for our weekly updates, and she brings joy and love and poetry and song to the world. And in fact, she's a vocal instructor. Hi, Julie. Good morning.
Good morning. It is
Uh,
bright and early on this end. Is it on your end?
it's dark and
Even
early
more
on my
so.
end. Yeah. We were we always it says hello, Julie and girlfriend Gail from Big Bread Eater Ellis. Is, is that what that says? Big Bread Eater Ellis. Well, hello, Big Bread Eater Ellis.
Interesting.
And Moon does psychic mediums here too. How you guys?
Interesting.
Uh-oh, Julie, we have a... Okay, hold on a minute while we take care of this.
I don't know why it's coming across on my.
Right,
It's
so
coming
we're...
through my phone for some reason. It picked up.
Okay, is it still
It's
there?
off. It's
Okay,
off.
thank you. That was a startle. Oh, that's right,
It
because
was.
you had just gotten into your phone because you had to repost on LinkedIn, and then all things kind of kind of happened.
Yeah, it decided to do its own thing. So
Well, it's good to see everybody. Moondust is from Colorado. Dawn D is here. Hi, good morning. Cheryl Edwards is from icy Wisconsin. Good morning, Cheryl. I'm not sure where Big Bread Eater Ellis. I love that. That's a great name.
an
Uh,
interesting name.
yeah, it's really interesting, especially since I no longer eat regular bread. But I would have been big bread eater Gail or big bread eater Meacham or something like that. Anyways, so what a lot of fun getting started this morning. And if my voice sounds a little funny, um, I believe I'm finishing up with COVID. I tested positive um, a few days ago, and but it was all in my head. I know it sounds bad
All in
too.
your head.
It's all from Europe, right? I thought I was having sinus issues and allergy issues, and it ended up being COVID. But that's okay. I'm kind of clogged up in my left ear still, but other than that, I'm good. Um, but we come this morning from um, at 7 a.m. Hold on a minute. No, 9 a.m. Eastern, because we have people in Europe and in South Africa who don't usually get to see us often because I have mine in the evening here in the United States. This Tuesday show, and so we do it one day a month so that we can at least say hi to our Europeans and South Africans friends or African friends. Bet's here this morning from Ketchikan, Alaska. Hi. Welcome. It's early for you too, as well, and probably cold. Um, anyway, so all this blah 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 that I'm doing. I'm sorry, Julie. I feel like
It's
I'm
okay.
rambling. It's been 2 weeks. I was on vacation last week. It's been 2 weeks, and because it's been 2 weeks, it feels like I haven't seen anybody forever. So, Julie, what have you been up to recently that, um, well, maybe before I start, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Julie Stewart. I live in North Carolina. It has been frigidly cold here in the last little bit, but I actually got colder than that because I went up to Ohio for my dad's celebration of life. So 2023 was a very, very difficult year. I lost my mom, I lost my stepfather, and at the 1st of December, I lost my father. And the other things that have happened in my year, the ups and downs, the valleys have been very, very low. But I have really rallied to face everything with a sense of hope because that was my word last year. And my word for 2024 is heal. So this was a healing weekend in an unusual way.
Yeah.
And so,
So, when when we lose a parent, it's extremely difficult. And you lost 3. You lost 3. And I also know that you have health issues that you are facing in your family.
mhm.
And there are a couple little boys in your family that I know bring you guys a lot of hope, your 2 grandsons.
And
And
one went with us this weekend.
oh, he did. Joey
Yes,
went
he
with
did.
you?
No, Donovan.
Donovan, he's the
He's
older
10,
yeah,
old enough to understand, and had enough of a relationship with my dad that it was important to him that he wanted to go.
right. And you've shared with the, smaller community, the tribe community, you've shared about your dad and his joy of song, and that he was singing clear up until the very end.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, your dad was in his 90s,
93,
93,
a
and
long life.
a long life to celebrate. Now, sometimes when we have lipedema, we it keeps us from traveling or being comfortable in a lot of situations. But you did something this weekend that was pretty spectacular to celebrate your father. What did you
I
do?
don't think of it as spectacular. A lot of people thought of it that way. But I sang at the service. And just as a back note, I've sung at every family service. I sang, my sister passed away in 2017, and I sang at her service too. Um, it is it is me. That's how I relate through
Right,
song. And so I sang the Lord's Prayer at the request of my stepmother, and it was towards the end of the service. A lot of things had been said, um, so there was a lot of emotion in the air. And I'm very good at compartmentalizing, as Gail knows that. And so I stood up, and the emotion-filled room created a circumstance that made me start singing a lower pitch than I would normally have. So it was very low, and it was more quiet and very prayerful. Um, but it touched a lot of people um, while it touched me.
right,
And so there was conversation afterwards. But um, unique to that, completely separate from the service, we were there. We had a meal together as family. We had some conversation. And my husband and I drove back to our hotel. He needed to get windshield wiper fluid because the snow had really inundated his, uh, he needed it.
you
So
went to
he had gone to the store, and I sat in the breakfast area, which, by the way, this was the nicest hotel. Comfy chairs. Um, didn't expect that, but it was a Holiday Inn Express. I mean, it could have been plastic chairs. It's typical,
and
but
by
comfy
the
chairs.
way,
And
you're not paid hold on a minute,
yeah,
Julie.
well,
We are not being paid by Holiday Inn Express. This
I
is not a
know, I know,
commercial.
I know. But anyway, I went there to sit because it was comfortable. And I spoke to the woman at the front desk. I said, I would like um, to know if there's fresh hot water. And she said, let me get you some fresh. So she turned the lights on so I wasn't sitting in the dark. And she got some fresh hot water, and we started talking. I said, I just sang at my dad's celebration of life. And she said, oh my goodness, how could you have done that? That touches me. And we began to talk, and I told her about the service. I told her about what I sang. And then we started talking about our lives and just our family and just situations. And we probably had talked for 20 minutes when all of a sudden she said, wait a minute, I have something for you. And I was like, okay. And she took a ring off of her hand, and she said, this is yours. And on this ring is the entire Lord's Prayer engraved. And I said, "Oh, you don't have to give me that." And she said, "No, let me tell you about this ring." She said, and my hands are a little tiny bit swollen, so it is not fitting it quite as well this morning, but it's there. Um, she said, "I bought these rings before Christmas for family, and I kept one for myself, and I haven't worn it since Christmas. But something told me I needed to wear it today, and I put it on. And in listening to you, this ring is for you. You need this ring." And so I graciously accepted it, and I just sat there and cried. And she walked away after a few minutes of more of conversation. But the thing is, when you have a moment like that, it's like, where did that come from? And people have said to me, "Your dad sent an angel." My daughter said, "Mom, that was your dad. He wanted you to know he was there." And it just, how do you move on from that? But it gives me hope that,
Right.
and it's a healing thing. So
Yes.
here I start out. But yeah,
Um, and
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 and yet, how does that deal with lipedema and all of the things we go through? Life is so full of moments that we have difficulty facing. It is so full of being depressed, being pulled in directions we really don't want to go, in facing conversations that are difficult. And yet we have a choice in how we deal with all of that. And we can take those moments and make more of them positive if we can, or learn from them, right?
right, right. Well,
So,
and in no small way do we make connections. So did you
yeah.
get her name, or is she just somebody who was talking to
Well, she
you?
was the general manager of the hotel. She introduced herself as Kim, but by the time we finished, she said, "My friends call me Kimbo. You can call me Kimbo."
Oh,
But all I have to do is go to get the address off our bill,
yeah,
and I can refer to her. I'm going to write a letter to Holiday Inn because she was just so gracious. She said, "If you need anything, just let me know before you leave." Um,
right.
but,
And
you know, she was a
and so
very kind, genuine individual.
right. And your heart, you brought your heart and you exposed it with all of your vulnerabilities and everything, and you opened it to her, and she opened it right back to you. And that it's so hard for so many of us to share when we feel so vulnerable. But I think that you are always, you have always been able to hear, and and so even though it was such a big gesture and gift to you, her being able to give that gift to you was a gift to her,
That's what she
right?
said. That's what she said.
Yeah. And sorry, I'm all wet. I'm all wet
Yeah,
on my
I'm
face.
still a little bit.
Something's dripping. um, but something's dripping out of my eyes. It's raining in here. Um, but having that and then being able to share it today, right? I mean, you had a really big weekend, but there was even more to this weekend than that. You shared something else with us. Talk to us about the video.
So my husband um, recorded it. In all my recordings, we with lipedema don't like to look at pictures of ourselves.
No.
And yet everybody who knows us and sees us sees our whole self. And my husband videoed me top to bottom, my whole lipedema self. Actually, I have lipolymphedema, so both.
Right.
Um,
You're in stage 3
I am in
advanced,
stage 3, yeah. Um,
right?
and I dressed appropriately. I had on black. Um, and my daughter said I looked beautiful, so I just accepted me. And sometimes that's hard to do, right? Um, but
Exactly.
you do things. Sometimes you're able to do things that don't represent what's in that fear inside. You're able to step forward, and it was all about my dad, not me. So I
Right.
was able to do that. But when Kenny recorded me, he recorded me the whole person, and I decided to share it, and I put it on. It's unlisted on YouTube, but if you have the link, you can see it. And I shared the link with my lipedema family, with the tribe, and let some of them see it. And Catherine really was touched by it and asked if Isla would link it to my article that I put into the weekly newsletter because I wrote about it. And so anybody who's in the tribe can link to it and see it. But sharing a full body of yourself is not an easy thing. And yet it's out there. And I put it on my Facebook.
Good for you. Yeah, so often, and we were talking about it earlier, I think it was yesterday, that, I had a on my vacation, I was taking pictures of people, and there were 4 of us women, and I was getting a picture of 3 of them because I was taking the picture. I don't know why I'm not in one of those pictures, but I was taking the pictures. And these women who are athletes, um, my grandkid child's coming in. Anyway, they're still all tucking behind each other, right, in some way. Yeah. Now the men athletes are all standing there broad, shoulder to shoulder, right? But the female athletes are still even tucking like their shoulder behind another shoulder, right? Trying to hide part of their body. And I thought, "Oh my gosh, do is that what women do? Do we hide even a little bit?" You know, like that's crazy. And as people were talking about it yesterday, yeah, women hide behind each other for some reason. One moment, please. Good morning.
Good morning, Bonnie.
I'm on a live. So give me 5. Okay, I'll see you in a little bit. Thank you. Um, my granddaughter has not been able to hug me. This is the first time
Oh,
she's been able, because I had COVID. and I'm and this morning I'm symptom free, and it's been long enough, and so I'm not in a mask when she sees me.
you
And
still
so
want a hug, Grandma?
she still does, and but we'll go get it. We'll get our hugs in a few minutes. She's been missing me. She lives here, and I live here, so we live in the same house, which is wonderful. Multi-generational household. There's nothing better. I'll tell you, I love it. So anyway, we talked about that yesterday about how we hide. And so for you to not only stand up, because you said, your coat and your rollator were to the side. So you stood in front of all these wonderful people celebrating your father. And then you took that video and you posted it. And I just think that takes a tremendous amount of, I don't know if it's courage or if it's vulnerability.
Both.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
So
said yesterday when we were talking about it that my role for many years was to teach kinder music, which is a music and movement curricula. And part of that is teaching parents how to work through issues with their children because they participate in the classes as well. And one of my goals was always to help parents be accepting of their child where they're at and what they need is their 100% attention.
Right.
And um, in that frame, we would take pictures in class, and parents would say, "Well, don't put me in the picture," you know. And I said, "Here's the thing about pictures. Pictures are not for you. They're for the other people in your lives. They're for a memory." And it was so important to stress upon those parents, and it's important to stress upon everybody that a picture of you is what they're going to have later. And it's not about you. In that moment, you might not like the idea, but it's not for you. So allow it. Let them take that picture. Let them have that memory because where else are they going to get it from? I mean, yes, they'll have it up here and in here, but when I talk to my 5-year-old grandson someday, he may not remember that conversation. But if there's
Right.
a picture of me, he can have a conversation with his mom or his brother, and then that memory might pop back in somewhat. The things that you don't think about when you're worried about how you look. It's
Right.
important. It's
It
important.
is it is so important. And I think about the other thing, how so many of us with lipedema, we don't have pictorial evidence of our development of it because we were those girls who wouldn't be in pictures, or we destroyed them, or we wouldn't let, when we'd find them, we'd peel ourselves. I mean, I have pictures that I've cropped in my own way, where I've ripped the bottom of the pictures off of them, physical pictures, in little teeny frames that are just waist up. And so there's no, I don't have um, photographic documentation of my legs because I was so ashamed of them. And so now when we're trying to find, this is how my body progressed. Now that we're aware that we might want to take a look and document how ours have progressed. So many of us don't have pictures, right?
I do have a few. Um,
Yeah,
I come from a family where pictures were a big deal. So
right.
pictures got snapped without me saying you can do that or not. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
So in the comments, I want to bring this up. We do have Sandra says, "Thank you for the encouraging words about pictures, Julie. That was really important." And of course, our bread eater agrees how heartening it is to be able to talk about this. And here is another thing that I think about with the pictures. We can choose to look at them, can, and say, "Hey, girl, I want to be your friend." Talk to ourselves. And I want to love you, because we do. And that's one of the things we have, that saying from Catherine that she brings in. It's that quotation. And there's this woman hugging herself. Now, I'm willing to give Julie a hug, but maybe I need to be willing to embrace myself as well. Um, have you ever done body work, like mirror work?
I don't know that I would call it mirror work, although remember, I am a performer and
Right.
performers do
Yes.
mirror work, but not, I
Yes.
have probably have done more theatrical kind of things that way.
Right. Yeah. I'm a performer as well, and I do mirror work. Um, a lot of facial expression work.
I do have a full body mirror in my studio for students to sing in front of, though.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's difficult work sometimes.
Sometimes they don't want to walk over in front of that mirror at all. And then I
Right.
talk about how they're playing a character, and I want to see if they can understand their character by looking at
Right.
themselves. So,
Right.
but you're right, body work is definitely a hard thing. I mentioned to you earlier that my daughter gave me a calendar for Christmas,
Yes. Yes.
and the title of the calendar is It's Going to Be Okay. So every day there's a message pointing at that thought. And this morning it says, just because you feel gross about your body doesn't mean your body is gross. And I thought, oh my goodness, here we're getting on talking about lipedema. What a message for today.
Right. It's a great message. And you're right. I mean, even the term gross, I think about it and I'm like, there are times I do feel gross about my body, but it doesn't mean that my body is gross. So true. Does it mean my body needs care?
Yes.
Yeah, it means my body needs some care. But like Eileen says, she didn't. Now, Eileen's an actress. Aileen Navarro is an actress from Puerto Rico. And she says, I didn't look at my body for 1 year. And that's here is a lady who's on film, who people see all the time, and she couldn't look at her body for a year. So there's something to be said about our bodies and looking at them and letting others see our true selves. I remember my mom used to say to me, and I know a lot of my um, whatever deranged thinking about myself. I know it's partially from my mom. I know that my girls have had to also work over what they got from me. But one of the things my mom told me, it was black is slimming. Don't wear red.
Yeah.
Don't wear red on the bottom. People will notice you. Don't wear this color. People will, you won't be able to blend. And I remember one day thinking, I don't care how much black I wear. It's not gonna, because she goes, um, because she'd say things like, black, you're too heavy not to wear black. Now, granted, I was still like under 200 pounds. At that point, I was probably 150, which that's about, if I could, yeah, 150 isn't even in my existence.
No.
And right, I mean, I was probably 12. Um, but no, by 12, I was heavier than that. So it was even younger. But it was always like, you need to wear black, it's slimming. And at one point, I remember thinking, no matter how much black I wear, I'm not going to get any thinner or look any thinner, right? Because I'm already here. This is the size I am. And so I really wanted a pair of pink pants. Oh my gosh, I wanted a pair of, like pretty baby, paley, sparkly pink
I
pants.
bought them in college.
I bought them in college as well, but I went to college at age 30. I was so proud of myself, and I got all 275 pounds of me at that time into pink Cherokee pants, and I wore them all the time, until I sat on that pat of butter.
Mm,
And I
I
couldn't get
remember that story.
I was walking around with a square. Remember when they used to put butter, little squares of butter on little squares of wax paper, hard wax paper cards? Anyway, and I couldn't find my butter for my. I thought I got butter for this cinnamon roll. Where did it go? I I ate the cinnamon roll and then I walked away and had a square. I had a square thing stuck to my butt. And oh
Oh
my god.
my. I'm sure
Yeah.
we all have stories like that.
Well, that was about 30 years ago, but I have been um I have been around 275 to between 275 and 340 has been my weight fluctuation since I was 20, and I'm 63. And I fluctuated in there. Every now and then I go down, but boy, I pop right back up to 275. It's like that's where my body says this is where you're going to be. Um, yeah, but I wore those beautiful pink Cherokee. I had pink ones and I had mint green. It was very, very 90s-ish.
Mine were bell bottoms, and I was a freshman in college, and I had to lay down to button and zip, but they went with me. I went out dancing in them. They were, I mean, but I had always been hippie. I had always had big legs. I used to dream when I was in my early teens and all the way through a young adult, um, 20s, maybe even beyond that a little bit, of going. I go to sleep and I wake up in the body store where you got to exchange part of your body for another part.
Oh yeah.
And I was going to cut myself off at the waist and buy a whole new part. Um, you know, I dream it all the time, and couldn't wear boots. I think I had mucklucks in junior high that maybe came up 8 inches, and they wouldn't go up any higher, so they kind of slouched a bit. But that was the tallest boot I could wear.
Right.
And do you
Remember when
remember in the early 70s when hot pants came out?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I desperately wanted to be able to wear them. I was about 155 at that point, maybe 160. And I wore sheer energy hose
Yes.
and got the longest hot pants I could find. They were probably a little more like mid thigh. And I had two pairs and I would wear them. And yes, I was big thighed and all, but with the sheer energy, it made me feel contained. And I
Yeah.
was okay. And I remember being noticed, but I wore them anyway. I
Right.
just I had to do it. And I think back how in the world I did that, I don't know. But it was a big deal to my mental
Yeah.
state at the time.
And I too wore quote unquote hot pants, and and the problem for me was I would get them on, and because they weren't loose, they were tight, right? And I'd get them on, and because I always thought it was because my waist was so high, because I had such a big bottom that the tops of them, the waist of them would have to go up over my hip bones, which of course they had to, right? But my I don't have a butt cheek um cup.
Shelf?
Yes, like the bottom of my left butt cheek is straight. So I thought that was my first deformity that I'd noticed, if you're gonna call this that. And I couldn't I'd wear those I'd wear the hot pants, and that my left butt cheek, there was nothing to hold the hot pants down, and it would just creep up. And so I couldn't, I mean, I would sit down and the width of my thighs, they would pop up, and so they were basically like a bathing suit bottom, and they would creep. And I remember wearing them to school the only time, I shouldn't say the first time, but the only time, and I pulled on my clothes so much that I finally went in. I couldn't deal with it any longer, and I went in and put my gym clothes on because I could not feel comfortable. I was not cute. I was just exposed. And yet there were girls all over that school in super short shorts, right? And here I was with my left butt cheek hanging out um, all day, and of course, a crop top thing, just a little short top. I was so exposed and so uncomfortable. I don't know that I wore shorts again to school when I was 14. And so that was in 1974.
In 70, I graduated 72 from high school. And in about 1970, 71 is probably when I wore those. I had gotten two hot pant outfits that actually had tunic dressy type tops.
Oh, nice.
And I felt like that detracted because there was
Okay.
something to look at up here. And I was
Right.
very little waisted back then. Very, very little waisted. I think when I
Yeah.
met my husband, my waist was about a 22-inch waist.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Remember when they used to talk about the hourglass shape? And I always wanted an hourglass shape. I had no problems with the bottom of the hourglass and the waist of the hourglass. It was always the top part of the hourglass. Um, so I looked more like a cruet or a vinegar bottle because it was like this, right? But I remember I'd measure my waist. I remember having a 32-inch waist, and I had 40, 44 or 46-inch hips. This was in high school. And then I'd measure and I was supposed to have a 42, right? It's supposed to go 42, 32. I mean, it's supposed to be even, right? I mean, that was like the numbers we were looking at.
Never.
And and so here I had a 32-inch waist, and I had a 34-inch bust, and I had a 44-inch hips, and I was like, how am I supposed to get an hourglass figure if I don't have any bust? So I was all focused on my bust, right? And then later my hourglass figure just continued to have more hours in the bottom and not as many hours in the top. you know?
I was, I guess you could say, thankfully at that point, big enough busted, I balanced a little bit. Um, I was about a 36 to 38 in
Yeah.
college, and that tiny waist, and then a 40, I think it was probably 46-inch hip.
Yeah, yeah, and, it's
So
it's crazy 'cause I don't even think about, like, my measurements now. Since I've been part of the lipedema community, I've taken my measurements a couple of times, and I actually had them taken just before Christmas because I'm gonna start using a pump, and I'm gonna do some citizen science on myself with my pneumatic pump, and she asked me if I wanted my measurements in inches or centimeters, and I told her centimeters because I don't want to worry about my 39-inch waist, right? Or my 43-inch waist or whatever. I don't wanna have to mention I don't have to think about it. So I told her, "Take my measurements in centimeters," because they mean that centimeters mean a lot less to me than inches do.
right, right.
Right? And so it's just this random number, this arbitrary number. And I realize so often, like with weight, sometimes I shouldn't take it in pounds. I should, you know, um, take it in kilograms or something because it's it's just an arbitrary number. And we let our life,
Interestingly, interestingly, all the doctor's offices I've been to in the last 2 years have been
yeah,
doing kilograms.
yes. Isn't that weird? And
Hmm.
I'm lucky because my doctor who I see, the nurse practitioner who I see, when I get there, she looks at me, she goes, "So, how's your weight?" I said, "Do you want a number or do you want me to tell you how I feel about it?" She goes, "Oh, it's pretty stable then, right?" I said, "Yeah." She doesn't even look at she says, "There's no reason for me to put you on those scales every time you come in. There is no reason." She says, "You know how what your weight's doing." She says, "If you're either stable or you're not." She goes, "And I'm sure if you lost weight, you're gonna say, 'I lost 5 pounds.' If you haven't lost weight, you won't tell me." She goes, "It doesn't matter to me. That weight means nothing." And I'm really grateful for her for doing that. So she doesn't put me on the scale. She did ask me the last time, "So how's your height?" I
Well,
said, "Stable." So it was really nice. But she also, um, she's also she's the one who, when I finally took the book and the video, the documentary in, she's the one who said to me, "Oh my gosh, that is what you have. That is what's going on with you." That's what she said to me. And she's the third doctor I took that stuff to. And she was the one who finally said, "Oh my gosh, Gail, yes." And she was like, "Let me feel you. Can I can I feel you?" And so she did. She palpated me all over. She was so thrilled. And I got her 2 years ago. She was thrilled. It was like she was in lab class or something, you know? And, and she has ever since, she just is always like, "I know that you're eating the way you need to be eating. I know that all these things are what you need to be doing." And she goes, "I have used this information to help other patients of mine." She goes, "I'm so grateful you educated me on lipedema."
you know,
But
we have a tool to help people do that with their
we
doctors.
d we do. It's you know what it's called? I know what it's called. Do you know what it's called? What's it called? What's it called, Julie? Come on, you can do this.
We have a new tool called Emmy's Box of Hope, and in that,
Oh. Oh, I thought it was something else.
no, but in
I'm
that is educational information to give your doctor.
well,
That's what I'm.
I am putting it in what I'm putting right now in the chat is the clinicians to clinicians links.
Yes, yeah. The thing that, and why I put it, I said Emmy's Box of Hope, is there's more than just that clinicians to clinicians
Right.
that you can share
So
with your doctor.
okay, so I'm just gonna share this right now. Um,
Absolutely.
So this one, a lot of ours starts with Lipedema Simplified, hyphen simplified.org, but this one is actually from Lipedema Project, as you can see. Disease they call fat.lipedemaproject.org. It's clinicians to clinicians, and so I'm just putting this one in the comments in the chat. Um, and then there's this other thing. Go ahead, Julie. Talk to us about Emmy's Box of Hope.
So I'm part of Wisdom Circles. When you chatted about that before, I know. Wisdom Circles is an opportunity for those of us in tribe that have lymphedema, and anyone that's part of tribe for various reasons, um, come together once a month and pool all of our thoughts, and then break off into a small group with a purpose. And I was part of a small group that looked at the emotional aspect of lipedema and how we're impacted by that, and what can we as women do to help others deal with the emotions of lipedema. Well, we formulated something called Emmy's Box of Hope, and what it is a website, but it's linked in through Lipedema Simplified, and you have to register for it, because what we're trying to do with Wisdom Circles is create a way of getting feedback to know how our efforts um, impact those with lipedema. And so it is chock full of information uh, that you can learn from, information that gives you tools to help your conservative treatment, information for you to share with your doctor, your family, people that don't understand, information to help you with your caregiver, information that gives you um, even things like recipes and fashion links and I mean loads and loads and loads of information. It's broken up into three areas: learn, which has the bulk of the information; connect, which gives you tools to connect with your doctor, like this particular one that the link that Gail shared is in the form of a postcard with a QR code doctors can hook into immediately and get there. One to give your family, another one that when you feel like you just kicking that brick wall over and over again with no's or people that don't understand, a way to connect with someone for support. Um, Tools that you can use the five senses to help ease your situation, from taking your mind off of your problems through coloring. And we've got two coloring books we've formed and put in there, to juggling with scarves to move your lymphedema or lymphatic fluid, to videos with meditation, to music to listen to um, eventually, and we're adding to it, it's a dynamic product, but we'll have suggestions for sachets or essential oils to help with different situations. We'll have, I mean, all different kinds of things. And then the last one is belong, and it gives links to all of the different places you can be involved with us, from our websites to our social media pages and to the tribe. And it describes things in tribe. People don't understand what tribe is till they get into it, but there
Right.
are descriptions of things that help you understand what tribe is, so you get an understanding before making a commitment. And our goal was to make our lives as easy as we could through something that gives hope.
Right. And so often when we first find out that we have lipedema, we're just overwhelmed. We're just overwhelmed. And so with Emmy's Box of Hope, when you first get into the page, it's very calming. It's got this cute little pig. Emmy's a pig. She's a flying pig, which gives us all hope, knowing that, pigs can't fly, but oh, this little one can, right? She's so cute. And her name's Emmy, um, because her name is Esperanza Milagros, which is hope and miracles. And she flies. She's able to fly, and she flies from here to there and everywhere. And she brings us, she keeps us thinking, you know what? Anything's possible here. And so she brings us hope. And she's if there's such a thing as mascot, I guess she's our mascot, but
Yeah,
really she's our cheerleader. And so a lot of things you'll see with lipedema simplified. Of course, you'll see the red dancing lady, but a lot of times you'll see a little pink pig who's flying around in some of our stuff with Tribe. But the Wisdom Circle small group that you worked with, they've done you guys have done an amazing job, to the point where when I remember you said, what do you think? And I was just scratching the surface, and I thought, huh. And then it was like, oh my gosh, this is so deep. But it's only as deep as you have to go. So like, if whatever, it's laid out so beautifully that if I want to just learn some stuff, I just click on learn. Um, that's all I do. I just click on learn, and then these different little things come up. It's all broken down. So it's kind of, I don't know, I think of it as like a workflow situation. But all I do is I just click on one button, and then the next page will open up and into more things, and I get to select. So I don't feel bombarded with information, because
w-
so much information is out there now. It's not easy to get a hold of, but you feel bombarded by it. So this is a
The
very gentle,
the thing
uh,
that we wanted to make sure is that we didn't overwhelm someone,
right,
but that it led in a way that could be absorbed easily. So everything is set up with icons, small descriptions in boxes laid out, three in a row if you're on a computer, or just scroll one at a time. But the thing is, it feels never ending for a while.
it does.
So check check one, go back, check another. But if
Right,
you're looking for something specific, there is a sitemap.
right.
So you can look on the sitemap link and see if there's something that addresses what you're looking for.
Yeah. And Julie, you and your team, you've done a beautiful job, and we have to say very much a great big thank you to Isla and her team who
Absolutely.
did all. I mean, so Julie did not build this website. No, we have a
No,
tech
but
team.
I've sat with Isla
Right,
numerous meetings to make sure that we all worked together on it, and
right.
and she knew what to do.
But our tech team, Isla,
Hmm.
and now did and some of the designers,
Yeah,
Leah,
Leah.
Leah,
Hmm.
put together a beautiful, beautiful resource for all of us, and share it. So if you get a chance, click on the links I just already put in, or copy it down if that's something you have to do instead, and go to it. You have to go. It takes 2 steps to get in, right?
You
Because you
have to
click on it,
register, and that is for our feedback.
right,
And then there is the first link says there's a plan of action, and we want you to fill it out so that when I said it's dynamic, we want to make it fit the needs of everybody who utilizes it.
right,
So we want information from you, not that we're going to share it, but that we're going to use it to continually update and
right.
and improve and add to what it is, what it contains. And then under the connect at the bottom, there's a feedback form, a portal for you to answer some questions in terms of how effective we've been. Um,
Yeah.
and we want you
And
to do that too, because that'll help us.
and that's the one thing about us here at Lipedema Simplified. We work really hard to try to make sure that we're going in the direction the community needs us to go. Um, it's always been that way. I mean, that's how we even developed. Catherine had something to share. She shared. People said, "Oh, but what about this?" And then it just developed. It just grew. It wasn't like, "Oh, this is what our community needs because we think they need it. This is what our community needs because our community is telling us." And Julie's a community member. I'm a community. We're all community members, right? So that's how that's the direction we have always gone, and that's the direction we will continue to go. So we need to hear back. We do need the feedback forms so that we can keep this going in the direction that we want, that all of us as lipedema patients need to go. Now, speaking of that, Julie, I do need to share one more thing. Um, we have an event coming up, and we have an early bird special for this event. It's called the Heart to Heart, and it's every fall and every spring we put on what we call a heart to heart event. Some people will call it a used to call these things symposiums or conferences or whatever, but we're all online. It's 100% virtual. And because of that, we had to step away from the, oh, I can listen to a video kind of webinars, and we made them interactive. And so they became heart to heart because it's my heart talking to yours, your heart talking to somebody else. We're always bringing our hearts together. And this one is keto and beyond. And I don't have any much more information except that it will be held on April 12th, 13th, and 14th. Is that date in there?
It is
No,
not in that link,
it is
but
not in that
those are the
link.
dates.
But those are the dates. I'm going to put the link in the comment with the date. Let's see. There we go. And believe it or not, we're having an early bird special. This is actually the super duper early bird special. It ends tonight at midnight Eastern. This is normally $397 for the full weekend of 3 full days. And we are at this point giving you a discount, super duper early bird special for $97. So if you haven't had a chance to sign up, there is a I put it in the link, the chat. Yes, I have it all in there, and there will be a coupon code. Now, it's possible you don't need the coupon code. Possible that if you click on that link, it takes you right in and gives you the $97. So double check with that. If you have any problems with that at all, reach out to one of us. We all have the same email address. Like I'm Gail, Gail, at lipedema-simplified.org. Those sorts of things. Okay, we always have the same address. But this might be something that you want to participate in, and that discount ends tonight at midnight, and after that the price is going to go up. So make sure that if you've been waiting to find out about this, and if you're going to sign up for it, make sure that you sign up for it tonight so that you get the discount. Julie, is there anything you want to say about Heart to Hearts?
I will tell you, I joined Lipedema Simplified after the 2020, was it 2021 or 2022? 2022 Lipedema Awareness Month,
Right,
which was
because
not a heart-to-heart event, but was similar.
well,
And the heart-to-hearts,
it was our
the
very
heart-to-heart,
first one we tried to it was our practice
mhm.
run. It was our and it
Yeah,
was called
the
it's
following
called
October was when you really kicked off Heart to Heart as far as the
right.
title for an event. I was so swept in to the community in a way I couldn't get enough of it. And I joined Tribe um, after a conversation with Catherine and began to put my foot into every corner.
Yeah, you
You
did.
know, you get out of what you put into things, right? And my goal was to get as much out of the membership as I possibly could. So with whatever I could go to in my normal schedule, I went. And I've formed some wonderful friendships. And I've is hit moments in my life when we've had them that were struggles, and I've still been able to work through those struggles. And I've learned so much to the point that I won't miss it. I'll be there.
Yeah.
And you say that's a chunk of money, but they are bringing in professionals. They are bringing in people from all over the world with experience with lipedema, where we might not have those same experiences in our local area, but it gives you so much hope to hear the things that are happening everywhere, and then giving you tools and feedback within the structure of the event that you gain so much, so much. It is so worth it. And it is not just a hit and miss kind of thing. It is well planned out. It gives you opportunities for conversation, for questions to be asked and answered, for truly being involved. It is not a sit and listen, though there are sit and listen things. There's
Yeah.
always something that follows that allows you to give input.
Yes, and one thing that I love about it, because I've been to a lot of virtual symposiums and things like that, and one thing that I love about these events is we are we are live, so it's not a bunch of pre-recorded things that we just send out there on a certain time at a certain time. We are live. We are all right there at the same time. And so you have access to guns. And when Stanley Roxon is with us, you have access to Stanley Roxon right there. He comes live when he's one of our speakers, and we do bring him in. Catherine Seo's there, Lisa's there, I'm there. All of us are there live, and you can reach out to us during that time and just talk to us. Um, who do we have? Do you know who we have as any of our keynote speakers?
I have not
Um,
seen the list.
okay,
I have not
yeah,
seen the list, so I can't speak with authority.
yeah. So, but
Um,
we do have we don't have that list solidified yet, but even our sponsors will come. Like someone might be there from a pump company like Eros Medical. We could have Darren or Adi there from Eros Medical, and you can actually talk directly to the people. So it really makes a big difference in the style of our event. And not only that, is you have other community members who are there sharing what they know with you in small groups and asking questions, answering questions, and making connections. So this is a powerful, powerful way of holding an event.
I've
Almost
been to
like,
conferences, in-person conferences. You get as much out of this as you would an in-person conference.
yeah. And
Um,
Aileen Navarro's on it. She's like, she enjoys it a lot. She goes to them. And yeah, Aileen, they are, they're fabulous. And it's wonderful to be able to connect up with people that you see all the time here and there. You might see them on a Facebook support group, and all of a sudden now you're in the same space. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So anyway, I
it
have
is,
one more. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it is also possible because they break us up into small groups to truly talk, to truly have conversation. So they'll ask a question and break everybody up into breakouts, and you'll be put with five other people or four other people and have something to talk about and share your story about it. And
And
unbelievable.
some people find that a little bit intimidating. I can tell you, I wouldn't have been comfortable the first few times myself when I was in my lurker stage. However, even if you're not comfortable being in that small group, you can also you can also take it easy as you merge in, right? It's not like you're thrown into a group
Well, you're
because
not
what
forced.
right. So what we have is we have heart guides that go into these small groups. So it's not like just a bunch of random people. We already have a set of people in our community, some of the women in our community who are going in there with you into the small breakout groups. They're already they're willing to open their arms and hold you safe inside those small groups. And so we do have the heart guides in those small groups with you. I know that we started that at the last event in October. And those guides were right there, always making sure that everybody in the room was okay, that
I
they
got
were
to be a heart
greeted.
guide.
Yeah, you did get to be a heart guide. A lot of us did. So let me check to see if there are any other comments. Julie, we've had how how long are they? It's a 3-day event. Each day is about 8 hours, 6 hours.
Approximately. I
Yeah,
think
with
this one they
break.
said it would probably start at 10 and end at 6.
Yeah,
Um,
so there
I think that for this particular one, that's what they were talking about, but
right. And
don't
and,
hold me on
um,
that.
yeah, yeah, don't I'm not going to. They are, each day can be very long, 8 hours about, but, we have breaks. We have a meal break, and we have get up and move breaks. And what the way they're set up is that you can check at the time, you can check to see who's going to be the speakers when. And so if you have another event that you have to go to, or it doesn't fit your schedule, you can come and go. Also, if you have to miss a whole day or something like that and you want the replays, then there are options for those. In the $97, since that's a super early bird schedule that does not give you replays, you can upgrade at that point to get the replays. That's called the premium. Could be called VIP. It could have a different title, and then you can watch the replays. We have we have two different types of well, we have more than two different types of people, but we have two main categories of people who attend our events. We have those who they're going to watch it live. They may never use the replays ever, and so they don't want the replays. So we offer a base price. And then for those people who love replays and they want to own them and they want to be able to access them for, 6 months or whatever, and then there's another price for that. But that's an upgrade. But if you're able to attend and you're happy with that, the base price for the super early bird special is $97 at that time. Now, Bet asks, who is the doctor we referred? Dr. Stanley Roxon. He is the guru of lipedema. Um, Stanley Roxon, Rockson.
And
Just take
he's
a look.
associated with, is it Stanford?
Yes, Stanford University, and he's also with Learn, Lymphatic Education and Research Network, and he works with Bill Rapici at Learn. So yeah, just you can just look up Dr. Stanley Roxon and find him. We've been on this puppy for over an hour. You have things to
Believe it
do,
or not.
right? It's like just well, we're talking to old friends here. Um, so Julie, you know how I am. I always end with asking my guest to share a message that they want to see echoed around the world. And for you, what would that be today?
Well, we talked a lot about words um, in the beginning. That my word last year was hope, and my word this year is heal. There's a word that is constant for me, and that is becoming, always moving forward. And with lipedema, for us to be healthy, for us to find what is going to work for us, we have to be becoming. And my hope is that you constantly are becoming better, more informed, and able to communicate your needs to your doctor, to your advocate. Those things are majorly important. And I'm hoping that each of you are able to do that. Take that picture.
Oh yeah, take that picture. Yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it. And with that, everybody who's out there today, thank you so much for being here. And we will see you next